Language Learning Series, the key to fluent English.
All right, today we're going to dive into some of the biggest myths about learning English. We're going to be pulling insights from a really fascinating book that looks at what successful self-studiers actually do. So let's get right into it. Okay, does this sound familiar to you? You've spent years studying English, right? You know the grammar rules, you've got these long vocabulary lists memorized, but then when you actually have to speak, nothing. The words just get stuck. I mean, it is so frustrating, and believe me, you are not alone. But what if the way we've all been taught to fix this is completely wrong? So get this. The core idea of the book is pretty radical. It basically says you don't need those expensive classes, you don't even need to move to an English-speaking country. The real key to fluency, it's something you can do all by yourself. I know, it sounds a little backward, right? But wait till you hear the author's own story. It's pretty convincing proof. Okay, so first up, let's talk about this big paradox in learning English. You know, we've all heard it a million times. To get better at speaking, you just need to speak more. Simple, right? But what if that's actually the worst advice you could get? What if it's completely backward? Yeah, the typical advice is to just force it. Go to conversation clubs, find a language partner, just keep talking, all about output. But the author says, nope, that's a huge mistake. It's not that speaking isn't important. Of course it is. It's the timing. The sequence is all wrong. Think about it. You can't pour water out of an empty cup. You got to fill it up first. And to really see why this matters so much, we have to look at the author's own life. Her story is this perfect, almost accidental experiment that shows how the old way fails and how a completely unexpected change led to this massive breakthrough. Just look at this journey. She moves to Canada at 24. She's got this super high test score, over 800 on the TOEIC, but she can't even put a sentence together in a real conversation. So her first year, she does everything you're supposed to do. She goes to parties, makes friends, forces herself to speak, and the result after a whole year? Almost nothing. Still not fluent, just frustrated. But then, year 2, something happens, and she has to stay home for a year. What does she do? She just watches TV shows and reads books. All day. And that's when it happened. 6 months in, she starts speaking naturally. After a year, people think she's a local. It's incredible. I mean, this just lays it out so clearly, doesn't it? Year 1, all about forcing herself to speak, which led to basically zero progress. Year 2, a total deep dive into stuff she actually enjoyed, just taking in massive amounts of English. And that was the key that unlocked everything. She wasn't even trying to speak. She was just letting her brain soak it all up. So out of this crazy accidental experiment, she discovered this core principle. It's a really simple rule that became the foundation for her whole method. And here it is, the big one, the 90-10 rule. The ideal way to spend your time is 90% on input, that's listening and reading, and only 10% on output, like speaking. Most of us have this completely backwards. We spend all our time trying to speak, but our brain just doesn't have the raw material. It's like trying to build a house with no bricks. You need to stock up on all those phrases, sentences, and conversations first. So the author breaks it down into this really simple 3-step path. Step 1, that's the foundation, basic grammar, maybe 2,000 words. And honestly, most of us already have that from school. But here's the problem. We then try to jump straight from step 1 to step 3. Which is speaking. We completely skip over step 2, and step 2 is everything. It's the most crucial part, just filling your brain with tons and tons of real, authentic English. Okay, so that all sounds great, but what does massive input actually mean? Like, what do you do? Let's get into the practical side of things, the how-to. First off, forget your boring old textbooks. According to the author, your best friend in this journey is TV series. Seriously. And why? Well, think about it. You're not just hearing words in a vacuum. You're seeing them with real human emotion, with facial expressions. You're connecting them to the action on screen, to cultural cues, even to body language. And the best part? The episodes are short, which makes it super easy to stick with it every single day. And she gives us a really concrete number to aim for, 200 hours. Now, that might sound like a ton of time, but let's break it down. That's just a little over 30 minutes a day for a year. That's it. Totally doable, right? The key is just being consistent. Even if you only have 5 minutes on a crazy day, it all adds up and keeps that momentum going. All right, now let's talk about reading. And for this, we kind of have to unlearn everything school taught us. You know that intensive reading where you stop and look up every single word you don't know? Yeah, that builds your vocabulary, sure, but it absolutely kills your fluency. What we need to do is switch to extensive reading. That just means reading for fun. You're not analyzing it, you're just trying to get the general idea and let the story pull you along. That's how you develop that gut feeling, that natural instinct for the language. And just like with listening, she gives us a big, clear goal here too. Read 1 million words in 1 year. Again, it sounds huge, but really that's just about 10 to 15 regular-sized novels. And she says something really interesting. The biggest leap in your ability often happens right after you finish your 10th book. Now, this might be the best rule in the entire book. Ready for it? If you are not enjoying a book, drop it. Seriously, just put it down and find another one. The whole point is for it to be fun. You should never force yourself to finish a boring book. Your own excitement and interest, that's the fuel that's going to get you to 1 million words, not willpower. Okay, let's be real. We can have the best method in the world, but the hardest part is always just sticking with it, right? So how do you actually keep this going for the long haul and not just quit after 2 weeks? Well, the secret isn't more discipline or motivation. It's about building a smart system. There are 3 keys. Number 1, enjoyment. This is not optional. You have to pick things you actually love. Number 2, make it easy. So easy you can't say no. Have your headphones right there, have the book on your pillow. And number 3, focus on making it a habit. Do it every day for 3 months. And eventually, it'll feel just as automatic as brushing your teeth. And all of this really leads to a final, and maybe the most important, shift in thinking. It's about completely changing how we look at the idea of learning itself. Ultimately, the message is this. Learning English should be fun. It should be a happy thing. It shouldn't feel like homework or some kind of punishment. Being able to choose to learn, to open yourself up to new stories and new cultures, that's a gift. And once you start treating it like entertainment instead of work, the progress just happens. So I want to leave you with this question. We're always told we need more discipline, that we have to try harder. But what if that's not it at all? What if the key to finally speaking English fluently isn't about forcing yourself to do more work, but about finding more fun?